Guys Sports.
Full episode for November 14th, 2025.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. W, the 110 Soldier. Today, going to talk about Ja Morant. Dude, just let it go. He's most likely on the move. He's starting stuff again, and he's just never going to change. It's time to just accept who he is and move on. I'll talk about him. I also want to talk about, in general, there's actually a lot of parity and fairness in both the NFL and the NBA, and I think as sports fans, you want to say it's a good thing. Truth is, it might not be, and I'll explain more what I mean later. Also, last segment, I'm calling from 6'7" to 26.2, the best and worst sides of sports. I'm going to rant on kids, but then I'm going to try to lift you up a little bit.
Around 6'7".
6'7".
So lots to talk about, but first got to kick it into, woke up this morning to breaking news. Nico Harrison has been let go. I would love to say it's a shock. Nico Harrison has been let go as the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. And look, the only thing less surprising than that would be seeing Anthony Davis's name on the injury report.
Broke almost every bone in my body.
The fact is, he couldn't take credit even for Cooper Flagg, because if Kyrie Irving had stayed healthy, Dallas most likely doesn't even make the lottery and get that 1.8% chance to get Cooper, who does look good. And the reason he lost his job, I'll make it quick because I want to move on to Klay. It was never even about trading Luka. I talked about this before, and I said myself, I get the idea of not wanting to spend money on a guy who, at the time, as good as he was not focused. He was not humbled yet. He was not in shape yet. He was not taking things seriously in Dallas for whatever reasons. You don't want to drop $70 million a year on a guy like that. I understand it. It's just that what happened with Nico, it's not that you traded Luka. It's what you got back, or more importantly, did not get back in the Luka trade.
Why didn't you get this guy?
That is where Nico not only lost the plot, he really lost his job. That is where this all went downhill. For Luka, you just didn't get enough back. When teams trade superstars, real superstars, they get hauls for guys who are not just older, but also not as good as Luka, and somehow Nico didn't pull it off. James Harden got 4 first-round picks back in a trade. Paul George brought back SGA and 5 first-round picks in a trade. Anthony Davis brought back Ingram, Lonzo, Josh Hart, and 3 picks along with them. Russell Westbrook, when he was still an MVP, brought back Chris Paul and 4 first-round picks. Mikal Bridges just recently brought back 5 first-round picks. So when you trade Luka at 25 years old, who's an All-NBA, had just made the finals, generational talent, and all you get back is an injury-prone Anthony Davis, 1 first-round pick, and Max Christie,
You're fired.
The writing was on the wall no matter what happened. As soon as things turned sour, and they did this season, you knew he was gone. You just don't whisper shop. You don't even do it the way he did it. He tried to do it quietly for some reason. That was another huge mistake. And not announcing to the NBA and getting a feeding frenzy going. Dude, I'm letting Luka onto the trade market. And if you did want to make that secret deal with LA, you had to get back Austin Reeves. I mean, the haul still would have been questionable. But if you would have at least got back Austin Reeves, who I know is Rob Pelinka's guy, and that would have been a tough sell, then you move on to the market if he won't bite. But you have to bring back AR, a couple picks, Anthony Davis, and Matt. You know what I mean? You can't just give me Max Christie, AD, who's always hurt, and 1 first-round pick when I can show you player after player, older and not as good as him, getting more back for it. So the writing was on the wall. We knew it was going to happen. Nico's gone. I guess goodbye and good luck in the future. I don't know where you're going to go. I don't think he'll be a general manager anywhere else. It's going to be too much of there's too much lingering with him to where it'll happen. But I want to talk about another Maverick who could use a fresh start. And this is near and dear to me. I want to talk about Klay Thompson. And, man, if anybody in the Mavericks organization is currently regretting decisions, it might actually still be Klay Thompson at the top. His stats to start this year off are the lowest and are abysmal and sad. Klay Thompson is only averaging 7.4 points in 19 minutes per game. He's only shooting 31% from the field and 27% from threes. In Golden State, when he was like, dude, I got to get out of here, he was still averaging 17.9, 30 minutes per game. And this year in Dallas is only shooting 8.6 shots a game. Klay used to shoot that in a quarter. Be careful what you wish for is the Klay Thompson story. As the fall continues, he will possibly and most likely be traded soon. And I'm not going to blame Megan Thee Stallion or him being late to the airport to pick her up or maybe get a little bit whipped.
Sorry I was late, babe. Damn it. I'm sorry. I thought I timed it well. Sorry. There's no excuse.
That has nothing to do with it. There are two real reasons that Klay isn't Klay anymore. It's the form on his mechanics post-injury and his brain post-injury, and I will talk about both. But the saddest part about this, and I want to start here, is that I don't think people are going to remember. I think a lot of people have forgot about Klay, and it's just human nature in sports that we kind of either move on or forget just how great some of these players were. And I hate that his legacy might end up being what it is in Dallas, because a lot of y'all either may not know or may have forgot that not long ago, it was an actual fair question. Who is the greatest shooter alive? When he was still a splash brother in his prime next to Steph Curry, it was not a clear answer. You could argue, and it happened all the time, Klay Thompson or Steph Curry, who is actually the best shooter in Golden State, and it was a real debate. I think a lot of people don't remember this, dude. Klay Thompson in his prime was a mother effing dog. There was nothing, and I mean nothing, not even Steph Curry, that was like Klay Thompson on a heater.
He was so great.
The 37-point quarter should be enough. If you ever want to see the greatest shooting display of all time, just go to the 37-point quarter Klay had 2015 versus the Kings. 13 of 13, 9 of 9 from threes in that quarter. He scored that 37 actually with only about 9 minutes left. That's, of course, an NBA record. He beat Steph Curry head-to-head in a three-point contest back in 2016. He got 27 to Steph's only 23. Game 6 Klay, that term comes from he hit 11 threes and 41 points and saved Golden State's season versus Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals. Klay Thompson once dropped 60 points in 29 minutes. Two fun facts: did that on 11 dribbles only and did not play the entire fourth quarter. I'm going to give you that one more again. Klay Thompson got 60 points in 29 minutes, did not play the fourth quarter, and still had 60 points on 11 dribbles. He once hit 14 threes in a game. By the way, that's still the record. Broke Steph's record and did that in only 27 minutes. So 14 threes in a game, didn't play the fourth quarter. 10 straight threes without a miss versus the Lakers is the first NBA player to ever do that. He's still right now the second all-time in career playoff threes, only behind Steph Curry. I don't think y'all remember just how great Klay Thompson was.
He was a bad man.
And so now, yeah, man, it's sad. It really is. It's sad to see that he's coming off the bench, and the Mavericks are definitely talking about trading him, and it looks like a real possibility. And even though he wanted that fresh start, I go back to thinking, dude, be careful what you wish for, man. I have the receipts. I talked about this a while ago. When he moved, I understood it. He was like, hey, they need a veteran shooter. Y'all aren't giving me my love in Golden State. You're not giving me my money. I need to move on. I'd like to move away from Steph and start fresh and be like Tom Brady on the Bucks, yada, yada, yada. But I said it a long time ago, dude. The grass is not always greener. Sometimes it's just greener where you water it. You left Steph, and oh boy, how did that work out?
Initiate flashback!
Clip from March 7th of this year.
No, be careful what you wish for. As much as you were pissed about other players getting money like Wiggins and Dre, and I kind of get it, you also ignored the fact that they extended your contract when you were hurt. We didn't know if you were ever going to come back. They still extended your contract. You were always treated very well in Golden State. I mean, with Steph, I don't got to remind people, the 4 rings, 678 threes combined along with him in 2016. Multiple-time All-Star, one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen. You had carte blanche to fire that bitch whenever you wanted, and you decided to run off to Dallas because, hey, I need my chance to win my ring and I need to feel free and I'm not happy here anymore, and da-da-da-da-da. You left Steph Curry just like Kevin Durant left Steph Curry, and boy, how are y'all's lives going? I really don't mean to be a dick, but I'm going to kind of do it because I think it's so underappreciated sometimes. Now you have all the pressure in the world, man. You are left by yourself. No Kyrie, no Anthony Davis, no draft picks, no hope. It is a rough life. You and Kevin Durant, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
Anyway, back to the present.
I mean, here we are, life after Steph. You had a system built perfectly for you, and now the system that you ran to is already trying to run from you. And like I said, I'll break down. There are 2 reasons why Klay Thompson is no longer Klay Thompson.
I got 2 reasons. 2 reasons.
It's his form and it's his brain. It's his actual shot mechanics, and it's what's going on between the ears.
I ain't got a good brain.
And if you've ever shot a basketball, you know that these two are connected. But let's start off with the first one, where that's his form, which really has changed. I remember watching this a while ago when he came back from his ACL and Achilles and all of his injuries. And you could see when Klay Thompson stands, his right leg, where all those injuries happened, is actually much skinnier than his left. It just doesn't have the same strength. But I like to go to games and watch him warm up, and I used to do that when he was on Gold State. First thing I thought of was, like, when did Klay start shooting from the side? Like, when did Klay start shooting right around his right eyeball? That's a new form. That's a new mechanic. And if you're a shooter or just a fan of basketball, you can see before the injury, when he first was in the league, he had a perfectly vertical, high release. The release was centered right over his forehead, elbow straight. And after the injury, and he got weak in that right leg of his, he suddenly was right side dominant. Suddenly, it's a lower set point right above his right eye, and he had to twist his hips more. And there's a flatter base. It's just more of a Stockton-esque, almost side release. That is not what he used to do pre-injury. And so I always thought it, and then it was confirmed in articles I Googled recently, and it didn't just affect the trajectory and his elbow and everything else. It was the arc. This has actually been factually proven. Look it up. Second Spectrum, pre-injury. His arch on his threes was a 46-degree arch angle, and after the injury, it dropped to 44.1. Some nights dipped all the way below 42%, and they said that 45% arc or parabola, whatever you need to kind of understand what I'm talking about, is the actual arch, the perfect one that you want. He used to have an even higher arch at 46 degrees. After the injuries, it dropped underneath the 44. And when you flatten an arc even 2 degrees in a pro level like that, it's a big deal. It shrinks the rim mathematically. Less parabola means less of a angle going into the rim, means less touch, means less forgiveness, means you hit the front rim a lot, means you don't have as much room for error. It's just simple physics and biology. If you don't have that same lift anymore, and less leg drive and less jump and less pop, and you're trying to generate that power now because that leg, you're compensating by lowering your release point and going more in your hips and pushing with your arms and your shoulder, the release becomes lower, it becomes faster, but the shot also flattens. And so it's the same guy, but it's a different jump shot. And when your form changes even a little bit at this level, it makes a huge difference in percentage. So a lot of this really is truly the injury caused him because of leg strength to change his shot. And if you want to look, I have some pictures and videos as I'm running this. You'll see them. But it's different, man. There's not the same as he once was when he had full strength. The other part of this, and this is a big one, and this happens to everyone in sports in all sorts of ways, it's just the mental game. Klay Thompson's head is just not what it used to be.
I ain't got a good brain.
Look, shooting is a mental thing. It always has been. Klay doesn't look just nervous now. He doesn't play with the same joy or same freedom, and he has just the mental version of a broken jumper. And if you need examples to explain what I'm talking about, I won't give you one, I'll give you two. I've seen this happen to two other players, and I'll make it a perfect example of the yips and what I'm talking about and what I see with Klay Thompson. First one, some of you hoop heads might remember a guy named John Starks. New York Knicks, great story, great shooter back in the late 90s when three-point wasn't in vogue the way it is now. Bright future for the New York Knicks, and in Game 7 of the 1994 Finals, he went 2 of 18 from the field, 0 of 11 from 3. A lot of people consider it just one of the worst choke jobs they've ever seen. And he says really that Game 7 debacle came from Game 6 because Game 6 he had a chance at a game winner. Olajuwon blocked it. He said afterward he couldn't sleep, and that miss lived in his head, and then it transferred over to Game 7 where he just stunk up the gym. Again, 2 of 18, 0 of 11 from 3. When I tell you John Starks never mentally recovered from that, you look at the numbers and just go look at old videos, dude. He just dipped. He just never mentally was able to shoot with the same freedom or confidence that he did post Game 6 and 7 of the NBA Finals. My second example, and a lot of y'all should know this one, Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson of the Orlando Magic, once Mr. Reliable, the veteran leader of that team, in 1995, Game 1 of the NBA Finals versus those also Houston Rockets, he missed 4 straight free throws that would have sealed the win. He was once a great free throw shooter, misses 4 in a row, and they don't go just from losing a game that they should have won. They go from a possible dynasty to being swept. It led to fights. Next thing you know, Penny's gone, Shaq's gone. He and the Magic never recovered, and he was once at least a 70% free throw shooter. After that debacle dropped down to 40%. He said he just couldn't get over it. There was a loop in his head of him missing those shots. He said it was like a VCR tape recorder just going back and forth. Every time he got fouled, he suddenly didn't want to go to the free throw line. He went from 70% from the line to 40% from the line. It's the yips, man. It's the brain hijinks. It's the mechanics, and I just see it with Klay right now. You went on to Dallas, and there's now hesitation. He doesn't shoot with confidence or freedom, along with the form problems, and it's something you leave a good place. Dude, Klay could miss eight in a row, and they'd say, dude, shoot the ninth. He always had freedom and carte blanche in that city and that team to shoot the ball. He had earned it. In Dallas, he just doesn't have it, and every shot he takes, he looks like he's hoping that it'll go in. It looks like more like a test. Every shot just feels heavier, and so he's not just trying to find his shot. He's trying to remember who he was. He's not getting there. 7.4 points per game for Klay Thompson is absolutely abysmal. And I will just go back to, like I've said it 27 times now, be careful what you wish for. This might just be another cautionary tale of a guy who didn't just leave for money. He also wanted to get meaning and joy back and thought he'd be with Luka and more freedom and all. He had all sorts of ideas. Next thing you know, it's nothing but noise and doubt, and you can rebuild your knee, but you can't always rebuild confidence, and I just feel sad for him because, man, Klay Thompson, once upon a time, was truly an argument of who is better at shooting a basketball, Klay or Steph, and you had a fair point on both sides. Now it's clearly one guy still doing his thing and the other one really on his way out, man. Maybe he can just keep driving Megan the Stallion around and hanging out with her, man. Maybe she can give him some more confidence because, Jesus, Klay ain't Klaying, and it's just a sad thing to see. All right, moving on to another guy who makes a lot of stupid decisions. I've told you about this for years. This is actually one of the first topics I ever got into. Ja Morant just is who he is. He's never going to get it. He's never going to understand. This is Ja. It's the same script, different day, all the time with Ja Morant. You either get it or you don't. And whether he gets traded or not, the latest issues with this coach and his most recent suspension reminds and reinforces my opinion of who he is. Ja Morant is today's Allen Iverson.
Wish I could switch with someone. I really don't want to sit with Allen Iverson over there.
Ja Morant is nothing more than Allen Iverson 2.0. It is nothing new to me. I've seen this movie before, and it's interesting because Allen Iverson has been making the rounds lately and doing media appearances and things like this, and it just reminds me of the same uber talented, no one can tell me nothing, and everyone is joking with him about the whole practice thing.
We sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. Well, Coach, I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
And having a lot of fun with, remember that whole practice rant, which he is now, of course, infamous for. And there's one line, besides it was kind of cute and funny, the repetitiveness, and he has his excuses and everything else. There was one line in there that really just put it all together of like why I always said Allen Iverson is a cautionary tale. When he said, how can I make my teammates better by practicing?
How the hell can I make my teammates better by practicing?
It's one of the more slept-on parts of it. Everybody likes to go back to practice. We talk about practice. But when he asked the question, and he's never really seemed to understand, how can I make my teammates better by practice? When I heard that, and if you don't understand, all I can say is you will either get why that's an issue or you won't.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
I can't really explain this to you. You either understand why that's an issue or you won't, and good luck on your journey if you don't understand what I'm trying to lay down. But when the leader and best player of a team, the tone setter, is legitimately asking the question, how can I make my teammates better by showing up, working hard, and setting the standard every day in practice, if you don't get it, hey, good luck. I mean, maybe you've never had to lead. Maybe you've never been in team sports. Maybe you're never blessed with having been a captain, whether it's, sports or work, and having to figure out how to get people better. But when the best person and their MVP goes, man, how do I make my teammates better by working hard in practice or showing up for practice? When he said that, that was all I ever needed to know about Allen. Everybody likes to give him the excuse of like, oh, his friend died, right before that. He was sad. It was this. Y'all are overreacting.
You don't understand.
That line always got to me, and it explains the same stuff with Ja. And just like when Allen was traded, you remember that Allen Iverson was traded in his prime, right? When Allen got traded out of Philly, he was only 31 years old and was averaging a career high 33 points per game. And Philly said, as talented as you are, we can't deal with you anymore. You got to go. Then he went on to Denver and Detroit and Memphis and then back to Philly. And then he went off to Turkey for a while and then he retired.
I've been around the world.
With all the talent in the world, but 0 rings and a mixed legacy, to say the least. A lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda. And now here we go again. Ja Morant, 26. In his prime. Same, it's our favorite rebel who does what he wants and he still is electric on the court and MVP candidate and yeah. It's the same arch and it's not going to change. He is heading for the same ending as Allen Iverson. A cautionary tale. We are 7 years in with this kid. He's not going to get it. Never gonna get it. Whoa. He is never going to understand. So what am I talking about? What's the latest with Ja Morant? So the latest in his saga, he got frustrated recently after a Lakers loss with his new head coach, Thomas Lasalo, where he's been challenging him more to become a more mature leader, tone setter, etc. They've also been clashing over the offense. The new coach wants more ball movement. Ja just wants to do what he loves to do, which is give me the ball, pick and roll. And so things didn't go well. And after a Lakers game, Ja then decided to let loose in a rant, blaming the coaches, whining about the coaches publicly, and soon after was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. But he just did some Ja stuff, as Ja always does.
What went wrong to you today?
Go ask the coaching staff.
Do you feel like, there was anything you could do differently, I guess?
You go ask them. They had a whole spiel in here, so.
From the outside, and the outside may be wrong, but from the outside, it didn't look like you had your usual energy tonight.
Go ask the coaching staff why.
Okay.
You feel like you should play more?
Go ask the coaching staff. Should I play more or not?
What could have been done different to get a different outcome other than asking the coaching staff?
According to them, probably don't play me, honestly. That's what basically the message was after, so it's cool.
The coaching staff message was that?
It's cool, bro.
Same old different day.
Now he's shooting 35% from the field, only 14% from threes, career lows. He said he's lost his joy. And, of course, now the trade rumors have really kicked up. Teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves are looking at him. Miami Heat would be an interesting one. I know Kevin Garnett said he likes that. Pat Riley known for being able to restore some distressed stars. Kings are in there. Rockets would be an interesting one. We'll see. Nets are also available and mentioned, but Memphis so far is not pulling the trigger yet. Their general manager, Kleiman, says, I want to patch it up. Meanwhile, Ja is back. He's playing. He's on the road with the team on his 5-year, $197 million deal, but it's not going well. Patience in Memphis is running thin, and this has been going on for years. This is just, How
do you still not get this?
It's become such a repetitive thing to have to bring up. So if you're a fan of any of the teams I just mentioned and you're excited about possibly bringing on an MVP player in Ja Morant or MVP caliber player in Ja Morant, just know what you're getting. He's not changing. This isn't any more just like a flip. This is a pattern. When I started this podcast, this was like the first thing I ever talked about years ago. This is one of the first topics I ever brought up and broke down. I talked about Ja Morant, and he's just not going to change. I know it when I see it. This kid has the Allen Iverson, no one can tell me shit, immaturity issue. He won't learn. He can't lead, and he's just never going to be the guy that you can build a championship around. And I will do it one more time, only because it's necessary.
I'll just do it one more time. One last time.
I've got receipts on receipts going back in the last 3 years on this kid. So let's run the list of all the dumb shit Ja Morant has done in just the last 3 years. This started back in 2022 in May. He got into a Twitter argument with some fan, said, how about you see how these hollows feel? Obviously referring to hollow point bullets, a kind of slight death threat to a fan. It was deleted. It wasn't considered a big deal. We moved on. Then that summer, he got into a fight at the mall. His mom got into some beef with some Finish Line employee and called Ja to, quote, handle it. He brought himself and 8 other dudes. They raised all sorts of hell in that mall. One of them apparently shoved the head of mall security. A police report was filed. Then just a few months later, his sister gets into a fight at a volleyball game. She calls Ja. He brings the entourage once again. They storm the gym. They started threatening teenagers. One teenager said, I got the phone broken and slapped out of my hand. The police came, but this time there was no arrest. But again, more drama. Then his dad decides to jump in. January 2023, his dad T starts an argument with Shannon Sharp at a game, and then they almost got into it. Again, players had to be restrained. That became a viral moment for all the wrong reasons. Then just a few days later, 9 days later, a game in Indiana, there was some sort of beef, and then Pacers staff said Ja Morant and his buddies in his car flashed a red dot that was, possibly from a gun. I don't know what else it could be from. Allegedly pointed a red dot at the team bus. League was not able to confirm it was a weapon, but they did confirm there was a confrontation and, quote, aggressive behavior. One of the guys who was accused of actually maybe being the pointer was his friend Devontae Pack. He got banned from the FedEx Forum for a year, and rather than understand maybe I need to move on in my friendships, Ja doubled down on it and still kept him close and pointed pictures afterwards of them together as almost to kind of give a middle finger to anyone said, hey, maybe you should watch the company you keep. Then the first gun video. We're just leading up to the first gun video, March 2023, Instagram Live, Denver strip club. Ja decides to flash a pistol on his camera while shirtless and dancing around at some strip club in Colorado. Team suspends him, and of course, afterwards, he tries to say all the right things and, I'm working on myself. Well, apparently it didn't work because just 2 months later, 2 months later, again, in his friend's car, another Instagram Live, another gun. This time, even the Grizzlies had enough. They suspended him indefinitely. The NBA dropped a 25-game ban. And you just really are just starting to wonder, is this kid ever going to get it? Nope. Well, even after counseling, after suspensions, after welfare checks, after he went to some sort of rehab, short counseling stint, he went on and said, I'm doing better. Then just a few days or moments after that, he posted love ya bye on Twitter, which caused a welfare check to his home. Powerade decided to freeze their new campaign with him. Nike quietly pulled the Ja 1, although the Jaws are back. And after that, he kind of calms down, and then the first thing he does at the end of last year, if y'all remember, he wants to bring back the gun references, so after every time he made a three-pointer, he kept doing finger guns, gun gestures, and finger gun celebrations. He gets warned about it. Rather than listen, the very next game, does it again, gets fined $75,000. Then after that, in more defiance, he decides, okay, well, I won't do a gun gesture. Instead, I'll pretend to throw a grenade, and the whole time still pretend like I don't understand what the problem is, I don't get what's going on, blah, blah, blah. All leading to the most recent one now, where he gets in a fight with his coach after the loss, publicly goes out and blames the coaching staff, gets hit with another suspension for conduct detrimental to the team, and behind the scenes, they are saying things have really just shattered, and we may have to worry about trading this dude. He has become a huge headache and a huge frustration.
Let me see. What else could we pile on? Is there any more we could pile on to the top?
God damn, man, that's a long list, dude. That's a lot. There's a lot of things to happen, and every few months, a new headline, a new excuse, and the same unlearned lessons. This is repetition. So I don't want people to say I'm a hater or whatever you want to call me or try to shoot the messenger, and I will reiterate, I said this in a previous podcast, this comes from experience as someone who has been to rehab, and yes, I have had to go to a rehab. You get there, and if you're ready and you're trying to get better, you learn who's not real quick. And a lot of them are a lot of times really good people. I will not say everyone who did not succeed at the rehab I was at had a overall moral problem or issue. They just weren't ready, or they were bullshitting. They just couldn't hear the music. Sometimes people aren't ready to hear the music, and you can just recognize it when you see it.
You cannot hear Jimmy.
And I see it in Ja Morant, and one of the biggest problems is that he hasn't hit bottom. And I don't know when he's going to hit bottom. How does Ja Morant hit bottom when he's clearly going to be traded possibly to a better situation, and he will be welcomed with open arms just like they did with Allen Iverson? His only chance of actually getting a title at this point, 7 years in, 27-ish years old, he's going to have to be second in command somewhere. So if anybody takes him on, I do think you can win a title with Ja Morant, but he's going to have to luck into a situation like other problem but talented guys did, where he will be next to an actual alpha, a Kobe, a Michael Jordan, a Dwayne Wade. This worked wonders for guys like Dennis Rodman, Ron Artest when he had Kobe. You think of White Chocolate Jason Williams moving on and finally calming down and playing next to Dwayne Wade. Draymond Green continually with Steph Curry right now. You can be second in command, but you can't be first. You can't be your franchise leader. Ja Morant has no business trying to run a team or a franchise. You can like the dude. You can say he's overall a really cool guy. You can give me some personal story. You can buy his jersey, but you can't lie to yourself. This dude is who he is. The craziest part about that list, it's only been 3 years. All that shit I just said was in 3 years. Let that sink in. That was not that long ago. Elon had already bought Twitter 3 years ago. Doja Cat was already a thing 3 years ago. Marvel movies were already falling off a cliff. In just that short amount of time, this dude has gone from being an MVP candidate, possible face of the future, to just the face of frustration. It's not about one gun. It's not about one gesture. It's about a guy who thinks his highlight reels outrun his habits, or as I like to say it, when the chicken shit outweighs the chicken, get rid of the chicken. He says he's lost his joy. I believe him. This is what happens when no one can tell you anything and you lose direction and you can't get any guidance. Allen Iverson had the same defiance. Uber talented, beloved, untouchable, but in the end, a cautionary tale. Last thing I'll say on this, the actual long-term winners and where he could have gone and he will never get and will be one of these, again, coulda, woulda, shouldas. Instead of being the Bradys, Jordans, Kobes, Magics, Bird, Tigers, Montanas, long-term winners, who I'll admit a lot of those have way bigger issues, either off the court, off the field, than Ja has ever had. They still carried themselves much more serious with a more tone of accountability, all the things that he just doesn't. You just can't rely on him as your top dog to win a title. He just will never take himself seriously the way Jordan, Kobe, Brady, Magic, Bird ever did. Don't expect it. He is who he is. So if you want to trade for him, good. Just know this dude's never going to get it. He's never going to change. We're 27 years old. We're 7 years in. He is who he is. Oh, that's not fair. Dude, 20-something things in 3 years. I'm supposed to try to pretend it's not a... Oh, Lord. All right, moving on. Speaking of fairness, I wanted to bring this up quick. I thought this is an interesting conversation because what I've noticed as I'm looking around both NBA and NFL seasons is that there's a lot of actual parity right now. The parity or the fairness is real. Both leagues is the most I've ever seen in a long time, where there's a lot of people who have a real shot to win either the Super Bowl or the NBA championship. And my argument's going to be that we really don't like it. I know every sports fan loves to say that they want parity. That is better when everyone's got a shot, when it's fair and every season's unpredictable. And if that's true, then why do ratings tank? Why do they immediately go down? And history says this. If you think you're this hardcore sports fan who wants everything to be fair, my argument here is that you really don't.
You're lying to yourself.
Because the parity is, like I said, it's there. It is real. The NBA has never looked this fair, at least as long as I've been alive. From 2019 now to 2025, know this. The league has crowned 7 different champions from 2019 to 2025. That is the longest stretch in NBA history. Not a single repeat winner in the last 7 years.
Would you say I had a chance?
Well, everyone has a chance.
Thunder, who just pulled it off last year, the second youngest roster ever to win. It was interesting. They played the Pacers, who hadn't been there and actually had never won an NBA title. This is all due to this new CBA. This is what the NBA wanted, and it really has worked. Between the tax aprons and the luxury taxes and the restrictions, it broke up the super teams because a lot of people said we want to get rid of the super teams. We want to get rid of the Warriors. We want to get rid of the Heatles. We want equality, and you got it, because when I look at the NBA currently, I would argue that there are 12 teams this year who have a legit shot to win the whole thing. There are at least 12 teams right now that I look at, I could say have a real shot at the NBA title.
Well, hold your horses, hold your horses. Let's go down the list.
You look at the top team, of course, is still Oklahoma City Thunder. They're still the top dogs, but I will continue to repeat. They had an easy injury-riddled road last year. They have not been tested. Indy was up 2-1 in that finals before Hallie got hurt. Do not forget, they got pushed by Indy to a Game 7, as good as they look, and I know they still got to get Williams back. I still don't trust the Thunder. Detroit Pistons continue to climb. Keep an eye on the Pistons. 9-2 off the best turnaround from last year from one season to the next, and they pushed the Knicks to 6. Do not forget about the Pistons. Duncan Robinson helping them out a lot. Cade Cunningham, all of that. San Antonio Spurs have now moved up to 8-2. Wemby's not just an MVP. He is now learning how to close. That last game, he really is showing everyone, I am becoming that next big thing. They just got De'Aaron Fox back. I still think they need to add Giannis, but even now could arguably be like the Thunder of last year and win a title. Denver Nuggets are always going to be hanging around as long as Nikola Jokic and his big old fat gut is still out there getting triple doubles. But more interesting is Aaron Gordon is really starting to pick things up. Look at Aaron Gordon this year. I don't know if it's the inspiration of the tragedy from his brother or just kind of figuring things out. I don't know what's going on, but Aaron Gordon is going insane. 20 points per game. 46% from threes. Keep an eye on Denver. The Lakers, of course. Now, everyone's talking about the Lakers between the Harrison firing and Luka just going out of his mind with LeBron on the bench. 37 points, 9.4, 9.1. This dude is in another ozone right now. We'll see what happens when he gets LeBron back. But, man, Ayton looks great. Rui looks great. Reeves looks great. The Lakers could be a contender. Everyone's kind of forgetting about the Houston Rockets, and they're still 6-3, and were everyone's big, oh my God, new possible favorite after the trade with Kevin Durant. And don't forget the new kid, too. Reed Shepherd has really started to pick things up in his second year now. He has 11 points and 3 assists, but 48% from threes. Reed Shepherd actually looks really good in Houston. We've also forgotten about the Knicks, who have quietly gone to 6-3. Cat looks good, 21-13. And they were once the favorite and are probably still, if you went by last year ending after Hallie got hurt, the favorite most people thought to win this year, at least the Eastern Conference. Miami Heat suddenly look like they could be a problem, and Hero hasn't even had his Heroes return yet. Hero, I call him Hero, but he could be back, and Miami could be a problem. Cleveland Cavaliers had the best record in the Eastern Conference all of last season, and now are basically injury-prone and still struggling with injuries, but once Garland, if and when gets that whole toe situation figured out, the Cleveland Cavaliers, don't sleep on Cleveland, could be a problem. Milwaukee Bucks may not be an overall great team, but Giannis is in another ozone along with Luka, 33 points per game, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. And most importantly, he's shooting 50% from the three-point line now. If Giannis keeps this up, holy shit. And I haven't brought up the Golden State Warriors or the Minnesota Timberwolves, who aren't even on this list right now, who are clearly, if everything goes right, have the ability to make a push in the playoffs.
How many is that now?
Usually in the NBA, you have 4 or 5 teams tops that can make an argument. I'm up to like 12 already. It is a different league right now, and I don't really have a clear favorite, and I will include Oklahoma City in that entire list. Any one of those 12, you can make an argument, could win the title. In the NFL, is even more, the NFL's always been known for its parity. They've always been good at this. The salary caps, the draft, the scheduling, it's all built to keep every team in the mix as long as they can. But 2025 has taken the NFL even further when it comes to fairness. By week 5 this year, no team was undefeated. That is the earliest that has happened since 2014. There are no juggernauts this year.
There's no reason to be scared.
There's no 17-0 Patriots. There's no monster 49ers. There's no monster Chiefs team right now. Everybody looks touchable and nobody looks untouchable. I would argue in the NFL that there's 14 to 15 teams, half of the damn league, that legit have an argument to why they could win a Super Bowl. You look at the top right now, the top 3 records are all question marks to me, but you have to at least say at 8-2, they should be in the conversation. Indianapolis Colts, I do not believe in Danny Dimes, but I do believe that Jonathan Taylor is currently the MVP of this league, number 1 in rushing yards and touchdowns, already 15 rushing touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor is a manimal right now. The Denver Broncos, look, Bo Nix is probably not it. It looks like they've missed on Nix, but their defensive line and offensive line, where a lot of playoff games are won, is so good it might be able to compensate for a low-level quarterback right now. New England Patriots, the Pats, maybe have the MVP. Wink, wink. See what I did there? Maybe, along with Diggs and that top 10 defense and a great coaching staff. Looks like the Pats may have a shot at this thing. I will pick one of my favorites to come out of the NFC is the LA Rams. Because Matt Stafford is on another freaking level right now. Matt Stafford now just become the first player in NFL history to have 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in 3 games straight. Not to mention they're well coached. Not to mention they have a lot of talent. Not to mention they have been there recently before. I really like the LA Rams. A lot of people are going to scream, well, what about the Eagles? And fair enough, they are the defending champs. And if they keep their chemistry together, I don't see why they can't do it. But that's still going to be a big thing. Philly is always Sirianni and Brown and the new coordinator. They got a lot of things and a lot of moving parts and spinning plates. I worry all the time about the Eagles, as talented as they are. Suddenly the Seahawks and Sam Darnold, I still, it's like Daniel Jones. I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe Sam Darnold is legit, but a lot of GMs will tell you he's always been legit. And now with that offensive line in Seattle and the run game, the combination of Charbonnet and Walker, they look like they can win the Super Bowl, and I can't argue with you. The LA Chargers, I walked to the games. I'm actually very close to SoFi. I have seen just how bad that offensive line is and how good they can be if that offensive line has any ability to block for Herbert and is ever healthy. That defense is great. They could win. I'm not even bringing up yet the Buffalo Bills, who we'll see. Josh Allen's starting to struggle, but I mean, dude, it's the Buffalo Bills, man. I know they got offensive issues, but this has been everyone's favorite in the AFC. Maybe they could bring back Dable now that he got fired out of New York. You can't do it probably this year, but if they can fix their offensive issues, I got to put the Bills in that conversation, of course. Bears, I don't want to believe in Caleb or the Bears, but he has been clutch lately, and they are 6-3. And so the rise of Caleb makes the Bears at least a long shot. My other favorite is the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are only 6-3 right now. They are still my pick along with the Rams because when they have everyone healthy and everything rolling, I don't think they miss anything. I think the Detroit Lions have the coaching, the offense, the defense, the run game, everything you actually need to win the whole thing. I really like the Lions. I haven't even brought up yet the Packers, who a lot of people thought was the favorite after the Micah trade. The 49ers, if they're ever healthy. The Steelers, A-Rod, whatever, but they're at least a puncher's chance. Chiefs, Ravens, Bucks. And now the Bucks have no Mike Evans. I don't put the Bucks in that conversation, but we still got half a season to go. Let's see if Baker can continue to pull out miracles. But god dang, Colts, Broncos, Patriots, Rams, Eagles, Seahawks, Chargers, Bills, Bears, Lions, Packers, 49ers, Steelers, Chiefs, Ravens, Bucks.
Lions, Tigers, Bears, Penguins.
Dude, that's 15 teams, man. That's half the league, I think, actually have a real good shot. And this weekend will be very interesting with all the games coming up. You got the Bucks versus the Bills. That's going to be a big one. Bears at Vikings will also be interesting. Seattle at the LA Rams. I'm going to that game at SoFi. That could be one of the best games of the season. The Broncos take the Chiefs on in Mile High. We'll see if the Chiefs can continue to make a kind of back-end push towards a Super Bowl run this year. And the other huge game will be the Detroit Lions at the Eagles, who can take control of the NFC. But my point being, going back, that is 12 teams in the NBA, that is 15 teams in the NFL, and I can make an argument, and I think I did, of why any of them could win a title. That is great if that is something we actually liked. We don't.
Pretend you like it. Pretend you love it.
This is something we love to do. People love to say you love the indie band, or you like that independent movie, or you like to go to this little hole-in-the-wall restaurant, yada, yada, yada. No, you don't. You like Coca-Cola. You like McDonald's. You're lying to yourself. I know you want to be cool. Everybody wants to be cool. When this happens, historically, the ratings fall off a cliff. When there is no dynasty, when there is no villain, when there is no must-watch, either hero or villain matchup, the casuals and even most of you sports fans check out.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
In the NBA Finals to this day, the highest rated all time is still the 1998 Bulls versus Jazz, averaged 29 million. Game 6 got 36 million viewers, still the most watched NBA game ever. The next closest was 2016, Warriors versus Cavs, LeBron versus Curry, 2 dynasties, 2 long-term, both very successful teams, got 30.8 million for Game 7. That was the highest since the Jordan era, and the worst ratings we've had in a real long time last year. 2025, Thunder Pacers sucked 10 million versus 30 million. The highest they got was 16.4 because it was two plucky young upstarts. We didn't know the stars. There was no story. Nobody cared. NFL, I will bring a quick caveat as I make my point. Between betting, fantasy football, and really have become what's truly America's pastime since 2000, the NFL will always get ratings. I don't want to try it. They're kind of hard to bring into the conversation because no matter what they do, they are bulletproof. I truly feel the NFL could probably, if they wanted to, do ritual human sacrifice where they sacrifice some fan's firstborn child in the middle of the field before the game starts. They would still survive that.
You can't kill me. I can't be killed.
We will watch football no matter what. They have survived scandal after scandal and all sorts of stuff. They are truly bulletproof when it comes to ratings thanks to gambling and fantasy football. But even they, if you look at their Super Bowls, look at the ones that have done well. Patriots versus Falcons. When Brady had the big comeback, that had about 112 million viewers. But then the Chiefs versus Eagles, two big franchises, two big names just last year, 124 million. And then the rematch the very next season got 128 million. That was record-breaking.
Kansas City, Kansas City.
Look at the worst television ratings in the last 25 years for the Super Bowl. 2021 is kind of a fluke with Brady and Mahomes. That was COVID-related, so I'm going to put that off to the side. I want you to focus on 2003. Buccaneers, Raiders, Brad Johnson versus Rich Gannon is one of the lowest rated Super Bowls in the last 25 years, along with 2001's Ravens versus Giants, Trent Dilfer versus Kerry Collins in Super Bowl 35. And I'll quickly throw in MLB just to reiterate my point because we just saw this happen in Major League Baseball where the Dodgers have dominated the last two seasons. Well, right before that, in 2023, we had the Rangers and Diamondbacks get a 9.1 million viewership for the World Series. That was so bad, that was worse than it's ever been since 1963, pre-invention of the zip code. The last two seasons, we had Dodgers versus Yankees with Shohei versus Judge. That got 16 million. And then this last one, the Blue Jays, Canada, Stars, franchises, Shohei, peaked in Game 7 at 27.3 million here in the United States. 51 million viewers in 3 countries. That was the most watched World Series game since 1991. We're just wired this way. You can say you want to be cool. You can say, I love all the indie stuff. I love when everything's fair. I love, learning. No, you don't. We like stars. We like villains. We like heroes. We want games to feel more like chapters. We want playoffs to feel more like a saga. We want the Patriots. We want the Bulls. We want the Warriors. And even if you hated them, you were emotionally invested. That is what's most important. Parity gives us too many new faces every year. You don't remember who won last year. You really don't know the team this year. There's no continuity. There's no drama. And the truth is, balance is boring. Balance is boring. Dominance is addictive. The NBA and the NFL have finally gotten what they wanted. Everyone's got a shot right now, and I think most of us actually don't like it nearly as much as we say we do, and the numbers have once again proven me right. 2 last things.
I have one more thing to say.
Last segment here. I'm going to put it together, and I'm calling this from 6'7" to 26.2. The best and worst of sports this week. I'm going to go from really hating people to really being inspired. So let's start off with the first ones. These god-dang 6'7" kid dipstick more.
Around 6'7".
6'7".
Oh, the 6'7" kids, you guys are driving me absolutely insane. We are living in the era of the 6'7" kid generation where these little maniacs are now going just feral in the stands like someone just cured cancer if anybody on the team that they're watching gets to 67 points in a basketball game. And if you've been to a game or you've scrolled TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. But these kids are absolutely losing their mind. Every time the scoreboard hits 6'7", they are just going absolutely bananas because the scoreboard hits 6'7", and you just look at it and it's just like they're not just enjoying it. It's weird. It's a weird feral, like someone just hit a game winner for humanity, but nobody dunked, nobody scored, nothing. It's a number. It's like watching a flash mob of possessed demon children, and it's over a number, and I hate it. I hate how much I hate it. But it's deep in my bones. I don't get a good response watching these videos of these kids. And I don't think it's because I'm old. I don't think it's because I hate fun. I just hate this. I just think this is dumb. and the faces and the sounds and just the shrieking. It's this weird. It's like someone just hit a stupid filter in section 230. It's like joy but laced with Red Bull and anxiety. I don't like it. I don't know how else to say it. I'm really bothered by this whole thing. And in case you're like me and you're wondering what the hell's been going on, what is everyone even doing with 6'7"? I'll give you a quick history lesson and then I can move on. This started about a year ago. There was a Philly rapper named Skrilla, and he made this track he dropped in 2024 called Doot Doot, which, oh man.
He died. 6'7". I just bit right on the highway.
Great song. Tell you what, it's amazing he didn't win a Grammy. You know, one of the greatest songs I've ever heard was the Doot Doot. But he said 6'7" in it. Somehow that got isolated. Next thing you know, TikTok got a hold of it, and they started making videos about LaMelo Ball, who was actually 6'7" height. Then they started using that there. Next thing you know, there was this high school kid, TK Kinney, who started saying it in interviews, and high school kids started picking up on it. And some little dude, Maverick Trevelyan, became like the 6'7" kid where they got him in the stands and he started doing that weird I'm juggling a Giants balls hand gesture thing, and then boom, this thing just went insane. And now every damn kid, if you know any kids or you're around any kids or you're just in the vicinity of children, every time the number 6'7" shows up anywhere, these kids will pee their pants.
But I got stuck on problem 6 and 7. 6 and 7!
Whether it's in classrooms, Fortnite lobbies, church camps, anything that resembles the number 6'7", they go feral over it. And I don't know. I hate it. It drives me nuts. It's loud for nothing. I think that's what it is. It's like Game 7 finals energy with no context, no buzzer beater, no record broken, nothing. It's like they just saw LeBron dunk from the moon, and it's because somebody said two numbers. I don't know. It's emotion without substance. It's intensity without substance. It's like watching a crowd suddenly give a standing ovation to a street light because it turned green. Is any of this making sense? It's goofy, it's weird, and the faces, the reaction, the feral. It's the only way I can describe it. They're feral. They're going open mouth, eyes rolling back. Their heads, veins are popping out, like someone dropped an electrocuted wire into Chuck E. Cheese somewhere. It isn't their fault. We're a dopamine-inflated generation, and my generation had dumb fads, don't get me wrong. YOLO, the dab was a big one. What does the fox say? Ring, ding, 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 ding. Or really, my generation was that? I asked my girl about this. She didn't even know this commercial. Was that? Was a huge thing. But something about 6'7", I don't know. It's dumb. It's not evil. It's not that I hate the kids. They look stupid. The reaction is too much. I know I sound like a grumpy old man. It just bothers me to the umpteenth degree. I don't have a moral argument. They just look stupid to me. But I guess this is where we're at now. Scoreboard hits 6'7". Kids are gonna scream and ascend into another dimension.
6 point something. 6 7.
Oh my God!
I just can't wait till this trend ends. How about we end it on what's the 6th month? June 7th. Let's give this, I want to say by June 7th, I want to say goodbye to this stupid trend and this whole thing and watching these kids. I don't know, man. I'm a grumpy old man. And it bothers me.
They said scores.
Moving on to one last thing and a high note. I do love this. On the other side of the spectrum completely, from 6'7" to 26.2, on a higher note, I love when sports remind us who we are and what we're capable of. I want to give a quick shout out to the New York City Marathon final finishers.
You are my ambassador, Aquan, man.
Truly cool stuff. If you haven't seen these videos, they've been spreading around viral. The New York City Marathon always has one winner, but thousands of finishers. And for the most powerful moment for me and others, it wasn't who won, but who refused to stop. Because every marathon ends the same way. Every November, they get the winners, the cameras pack up, the crowds thin out, the lights dim. But a lot of people keep going because somewhere hours after that winner's interview, there's someone who was still running, and it's been slept on by me and other sports fans too much for too long. But these final runners, these final finishers, in their walkers, in their wheelchairs, in their crutches, running in the dark. A lot of these guys are survivors. A lot of these guys are caretakers who are maybe pushing a loved one who can't stand on their own. Some of these people probably shouldn't even be alive, much less running 26 miles. But I always think it's cool because, in my opinion, the true test of your will in any situation, not just sports, is finding out what you're capable of doing when it's just you, it's the dark, and no one else is there to watch. What are you capable of then? Watching these people still finish out a race that ended a long time ago because it was what they wanted to do and it's what they needed to do was such a cool thing. And there was all sorts of cool stories. You can Google some of these. Look up Juan Pablo dos Santos, a guy from Venezuela. He was a double amputee who didn't finish the marathon until after midnight. 15 hours later, he crossed to a standing ovation. But there are hundreds of Juans that I can't even get the whole list on. People like Kochi Kitabatake, who started running in his 70s and ran this one at 91 years old. Danielle Grimley, who finished the last 8 miles on crutches. There is this whole documentary called 26.2. You need to check this out, too, about stroke survivors and cancer survivors. But all of them are just chasing the same thing. It wasn't a time. It wasn't a medal. Just the finish line, and to be able to step over it and said, I didn't quit. It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to see, man. A lot of people talk about who wins, who breaks records, who gets sponsorships. But every November, thousands of people are reminding us that winning and finishing are not the same thing. Because in this life, and I'm going to get corny, it's not a race against anybody else but yourself. You are not competing with the person ahead of you. Comparison is the thief of joy. You are competing with the voice in your head that ever tells you stop. We are all in our own marathon. Some people sprint, some people crawl, some people get carried, but the finish line is the same. And the only rule that we all need to follow is don't listen to that voice and don't stop. Whatever you want to do, push yourself, whether the lights are out and everyone's left, you cross that finish line just like these people did. I thought that was very cool. I wanted to shout them out. I got to go. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see what happens next week in the NFL. We'll see if Klay and Ja are still on the same team. And whatever other else crazy stuff happens, I'll be there with you to ride along and talk about it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Tricky Guy Sports.